gossiping ghouls and goblins. Welcome back to the mausoleum, where we spill the tea on true crime and other miscellaneous macabre. I'm Autumn,
And I'm Haley.
and this is Don't You Know? This is a trigger warning. This is an unedited true crime podcast, and we are explicit. Many episodes contain mentions of child abuse, murder, sexual abuse, domestic violence, severe neglect, animal abuse, necrophilia, bestiality, incest, suicides, and other sensitive topics. If you're squeamish, why the fuck are you here? Now, without further ado, this is the episode of
So I've got a bone to pick with the likes of some parents who sign the dotted line and sell their children to evil for a shiny coin. Of course, I have to say it's not everyone, and these are just our thoughts and opinions, and everyone's innocent until proven guilty. There's a lot of gossip and rumor. Of course, it's a
for sure,
Hollywood
for
tale.
sure.
So,
That is true. You gotta remember, everybody is innocent until proven guilty in the court of a law, at least in America.
where I'll be the judge, jury, and executioner. So, let's get my focus on what I came here to say, since I'm all over the place every time. The exploitation and abuse of children is literally the cornerstone of Hollywood. Price for fame has always been high, attracting some of the shallowest people. For example, Ingborg Nielsen and her husband Soren, who was later referred to as Samuel. In the early 1900s, they moved from Denmark to settle in Chicago, Illinois, with their children Marshall, who was born in 1907, and Ingborg, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, Myrtle, born in 1910. I will use her middle name to differentiate her between her and Mama Ingborg. When the children were little when the children were little more than toddlers, Sam and Ingborg pushed them into baby modeling. These jobs were demanding, underpaid, and saturated with aspiring baby model parents. Little Ingborg Myrtle had a secret weapon, though, her blonde curls, because Hollywood sure does love itself some blonde curls. It wasn't just her curls either, but her well behaved and bubbly demeanor. It made her the perfect child model. By 1915, Ingeborg decided to dance her daughter off the stage and onto the silver screen. She gave her 4-year-old daughter the stage name of Lucille Ricksen. During her first casting call, Lucille recounts how a man had sat her on the table and pulled on one of her curls. He asked her, "Can I have one of those?" The young and feisty toddler shakes her head no. He chuckles and tells her, "Well, I'll be nicer than that. I'll give you a part." Little Lucille would go on to play a Cupid in Henry B. Waffles' production. This would be her first baby steps walking in adult shoes. For the next 3 years, she played small parts in various S&A films, already beginning the exhaustive schedule her mother thrust upon her. When Lucille was 8, her parents divorced, leaving her mother to fend for the family alone. Of course, she couldn't get a job herself, and what little earnings Sam did make, he took with him. The only sensible solution was to rely on her children's success and drive them further into the limelight. In 1920, Ingborg packed up her children to move to a small community in Los Angeles, filled with parents chasing stardom on the coattails of their offspring. This move was encouraged by Samuel Goldwyn of Metro Goldwyn Mayer, or it was Goldwyn Studios back in the day. Since the film industry of the Windy City was on the decline, Ingborg was a divorcee with nothing to lose but her selfish dreams. What started as a cute hobby and an innocent little side hustle turned into the main income of the family. Established just a few short years before, Hollywoodland was getting into full swing with silent films. Charlie Chaplin is on the silver screen giving everyone a chuckle. The war is over and the 20s are roaring. This is the perfect setting for 11-year-old Lucille to be cast in her first feature film. The Adventures of Edgar Pomeroy was a 12-installment series of silent films where she starred alongside Edward Peel Jr., another child actor. The short films followed the adventures of young Pomeroy and were based off the series written by Booth Tarkington. Back in the day, he was considered one of the greatest authors of his time. I think J.K. Rowling before she was canceled. Sadly, the films are lost to history with only a few remnants and recollections, one of which was the scrapbook that Lucille kept full of movie paraphernalia. News articles, posters, and little notes of how she felt during filming. One such, one such entry was about a controversial photo shoot her mother forced her into. At age 8, Ingborg let her daughter be photographed in mature poses, nude. Of course, she wasn't an idiot. She told the magazine that Lucille was 12. Spoiler alert, even with the hair and makeup they did for her, she did not look by 12, even by 1918 standards. She very much looked like a child.
Sorry, but was that like the legal age then?
No.
Okay. So
I
like
mean,
either way, she looks 12. Huh?
still, when you do think so, I guess childhood nudity might not have been seen with the same sort of taboo as it is today, especially if it's art. I mean, you can get away with photographing children nude if it's for artistic purposes. So I guess this would have been under the same umbrella.
Family.
Well, yeah, because even into the 1970s, Brooke Shields, another famous child actress, was photographed in nude, mature poses, hair and makeup done. I want to say she was 10, maybe 11, and that she was the centerpiece for fucking Playboy.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is 50 years before that,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I got.
still gross.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Still
Like, what,
gross.
really? Like, we're okay with. All right. I mean, I'm not. I'm definitely not. That's gross to me. But
Can't really go about and say different times because, like, that certainly wasn't the norm.
right.
You didn't have newspapers just
Yeah.
whatever. Um, Ingeborg had always claimed Lucille was older than she was. The problem is, even 4 years older than she actually was, the roles that she was cast into were still suspect, and the cruel schedule was definitely torture for anyone at any age. But I'm getting ahead of myself. With dollar signs in her eyes, Ingeborg was blind to how she was burning Lucille's candle at both ends. The child of only 10 years old, 10 movies is an insane schedule for a child to commit to.
10 movies is insane for an adult to commit to.
It is. And like so the movies back then were shorter. They weren't the, 90-minute feature-length films of today, but filming was also more exhaustive,
Okay. Yeah.
right? Because they didn't have the same kind of technology. And if you fuck up a scene and you have to reset and she's doing 12, 16-hour days
Right.
and
Right.
she's 10.
Yeah.
On the surface, Lucille was all smiles and sunshine. When interviewed, she would say that she always had a great time and loved being in front of the camera. She was lucky to have her mother to manage all of her energy, and she was happy to provide them a good life. Which seems coached if you asked me, but that's just my opinion. Ingeborg's willingness to exploit her daughter, shoving her into roles most mothers wouldn't find suitable for a child of her age, proved to be lucrative. Not only did selling out her daughter sit her in the lap of luxury, it opened doors to more opportunities. Disciplined and pleasant, every director wanted to work with her. She endured long hours without complaint, loving the attention her obedient and playful nature got her. So I'm not saying speed was involved here. There's no facts or evidence supporting that her mother slipped her some happy pills. However, amphetamines were a popular drug back in the 20s. Doctors were giving it out to raise blood pressure, clear nasal passages, just about anything. Hollywood is known for drugs now, and it had to start somewhere. You got these old fucks that get prescribed blood pressure meds, and now they're shelling out these pills to young starlets who are losing their glow after the 10th hour in front of the camera. And like, hey, those pills the doc gave me really give me a second win, so here, little lady, take this. You'll feel better. Like, did you ever hear, what's her face, Hayden Panettiere, say they used to give her happy pills before red carpet appearances and shit?
Just any Hollywood star
Or just
now and then. Let's look at Judy
Garland?
Garland,
That's just a few years after this.
Demi Lovato, like it's
You
tit
know,
for tat.
just constantly, oh, you're tired? Don't worry. Take chemicals. After wrapping her first Edgar film, she wrote a letter to E. Mason Hopper, the director. Quote, I am very glad I got to play the leading part of the girl, and I hope that I can make you very proud of me. I think you are the most patient child director I have ever known. Lovingly, your little leading lady. If that was not dictated by her mom, I'm the white rabbit. I know times were different and she wasn't living the life of a normal 10-year-old, but still, come on. What 10-year-old's like, I can't wait to like work with you again for 24 hours a day. Lucille was admired by studio executives for her charm and skill. Her playful nature came naturally on and off the screen. One night, after finishing a set for the Edgar series, she found a fancy pair of silver heels and stockings to match. She convinced the makeup artist to coif her hair and slap on some rouge. She sashayed out of the dressing room to where the clue was cleaning. Excuse me, to where the clue. Nope, to where the crew was cleaning up, and she asked if anyone had seen her younger sister, Lucille. They told her that Lucille was done for the day and that she had gone home. She writes later in her scrapbook, I could have died laughing. I wish I had a day like that every day. In 1921, young aspiring actors and actresses made their way to the Mecca of Goldwyn Studios to audition for Old Nest, a new film based on a story by Rupert Hughes. As luck and skill would have it, both Lucille and her brother Marshall were given roles. Lucille had just finished up with the Edgar series, worked and then went to work on Old Nest. Almost immediately after that, she went on a publicity tour for the Edgar series. There's a photo of an exhausted and disappointed Lucille sitting on the steps of Booth Tarkington's house. They were supposed to meet up, but he was gone for the day. She'd made the long trek to discover that, nope, he's not there. Despite the minor setback, Lucille writes in her scrapbook how much she loved the season of travel. Pasted to the pages, she kept photos and news clippings of her journey through the Midwest. Beneath the articles announcing her arrival into different cities, she would write witty and amusing notes about her experiences on the trip. There were so many venues scheduled on her tour. She had interviews with dignitaries, visits to department stores, and reception upon reception. She's just a girl surrounded by predatory adults and other overworked child stars. There were even publicity stunts orchestrated to divert attention to her rising stardom. The girl was constantly on the go. And, like, don't get me wrong, kids have so much energy, but not that much. She needed rest, and her mother completely refused her. One of these publicity stunts was a contest held by the Superior Telegram, a Michigan newspaper. Readers were invited to guess the age of Lucille Ricksen. Entries ranged from conservative estimates to the outrageous. I found one entry to be oddly specific and absolutely deranged. I think she is 27 years, 5 months, and 10 days old. Anyone that can act and travel like this has to be an adult. I'm paraphrasing. Another entry concluded that she had to be 2 years old. Are we trolling? The newspaper left the answer vague. She's too old to sit in her mother's lap, but not yet old enough to pin up her curls. So she's not a baby, but she's not a woman. Okay. In another stunt that was held in Duluth, Minnesota, a newspaper invited boys to submit their photos in a look-alike contest. Lucille was tasked with choosing which lad resembled Johnny Jones the most. He's the one that played Edgar from her first film series.
Mm-hmm.
Her performances were formulated. On stage, she would entertain the masses with scenes from Studio Land, share personal stories about life on set, and her 4-hour daily school sessions held at the studio. It's the same type of interviews we see today. These performances would end with her singing songs such as I Love You Truly. Though her time was held in high demand, she kept a cheery demeanor, telling one reporter, I enjoy spending my vacation this way. It's hard work, but I have my mother with me, and she always sees that I'm comfortable. That was reported in the Superior Telegram. Back in Hollywood in 1921, 12-year-old Lucille would get right back in the saddle of a gruesome film schedule. Mind you, her mother has aged her up about 4 years. So, to the public, she's about 16. This means that it's time for her to transition from child star to young adult actress. Though she had already been subject to the grueling adult hours of filming, now they no longer had to be secretive about it. Many of her roles were mature. The studio and her mother made sure to dress her up to match. Her role in The Girl Who Ran Wild, she played a schoolgirl who caught the attention of her teacher.
Yeah, just let that silence sit in real fast.
That's fucking weird. She's 12. But that's certainly more tame than nude photo shoots at 8.
Yep. But is it? But is it? But is it?
I mean, now we're involving, of course, right? I don't know.
I don't.
She's just a child.
Yeah.
Of course, she loves being in the limelight. It's all she's ever known. Kids crave attention and will do just about anything to have all eyes on them. The more they get, the more they want. Especially if they're being encouraged by their parent to do this. Oh, I love you. You're such a good actress. I want to make mom proud. It's ridiculous. In her first official adult role, she was cast as the love interest in Judgment of the Storm opposite Lloyd Hughes, an adult man, and she's still only 12 years old. Despite having played star roles in more mature films, this is still too young to play the interest of an adult co-star. But it wasn't too racy back in the day. Maybe some kissing, I don't know. I didn't watch the movie, so weigh in with your opinions if you have. All of our social media is at Don't You Know... Oh.
At Don't You Know Pod. Everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, messed up. All of them. Sorry, our producer Rocky is just not letting up.
Dude, relax.
Rocky, we're trying.
However, the mindset was also very different. Uh, if they were willing to do all of this on camera, what are they willing to do off camera?
Oh, I get the mindset was different, but I'm still standing by it.
Fucking weird.
Oh.
Corey Feldman did say that the casting couch applied to kids. And we're not talking like this was so far in the past. It's only 100 years. And then, like I mentioned earlier, up into the 70s, we got Brooke Shields.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
right, back to the story at hand. Lucille is in her first official adult role. She's already proved herself to be a manageable actress, willing to endure long hours of an exhaustive schedule. She's also proven that she can tackle difficult roles that most adults would struggle with, such as her role in Human Wreckage, a film that shined light on drug addiction. In the summer of 1923, she auditioned for the lead role in Rendezvous at Goldwyn Studios. Obviously, she was cast, much to the disappointment of the adult actresses who were vying for the spot. It's almost as if the part was written for Lucille, with how happy the studio was to hire her for the director who was hell bent on having her.
Mm.
Now, this role was not meant for a child, but a woman. So, to avoid controversy, the studio officially came out with Lucille's age at a mature and consensual 16. Now, I know I said earlier that her mother had been telling.
Rocky, hold on. No, isn't it gross?
It is, because even at 16, you're like, why is she macking on a 40-year-old?
That's fucking gross.
She's just like, oh, but I love it. My mom gets to eat fancy food every night for dinner.
I'm just providing for my family. You're a kid.
You should not be providing for your family. So, yeah, I know I said earlier that her mother had been aging her up for years. I was unclear on whether the studio officially knew that Lucille wasn't actually 16 and now they're just coming out with it, but either way, now it's public. She's 16. She's a woman now. I also want to point out that from what I've read, Lucille was a master at her craft, even so young. And I can believe it. When you live your whole life practicing one skill, you're going to be good at it. And yes, kids can play tough roles. Reese Witherspoon played a child prostitute that kicked ass, and she was great. Jodie Foster, Natalie Portman, or Keira Knightley. I'm confused. I think it was Portman. But whatever, not important. What I'm trying to say is, yes, older kids can play tough adult roles if they're given time to rest, be protected, and all that good shit. My issue isn't with Ricksen playing older roles, except for the nudes. It's that she was constantly on the go. Kids, especially at the age her mother pushed her into this career, need sleep. Lots of sleep. This poor baby was not given the chance to be anything other than a doll for her mother to rent out to the media. Back to her movie. Though Lucille said she was fond of the cast and that they were like family, everyone was pleasant, and she had a special fondness for Sidney Chaplin, and he had a special fondness for her. He's an adult. Okay, just so it was clear. So much so that there was a rumor that they had gotten hitched in the fall of 1923. Though it's only gossip, and it was denied by her mother and Chaplin and everybody. Not that child marriage was unheard of, but baby girl was mama's meal ticket, and she would not loosen her grip enough for Lucille to get away. She was the original momager. And I gotta say, that's my opinion. In Lucille's writings, she never spoke ill of her mother. She only ever said that they were best friends. And I'm like being so sarcastic right now because that just sounds like Stockholm Syndrome. Mom was always there, of course. She had to ensure that her kids were on a constant grind to afford a Hollywood lifestyle. I think we need a new box. I've been looking into it.
Okay.
I mean, it'll be a whole new setup, not just the box.
Money.
No, it's not even about money. I'm not going to buy like the $400 set, but all of them are like, I don't know.
Okay.
Sound quality sucks. I'm still looking. But this was a concern for one journalist even 100 years ago. The early days were no stranger to Hollywood parties and ruined lives. Despite the rumors, denied by the family, but holding on due to Chaplin's penchant for young girls and sexual conquests, Lucille earned herself serious attention. The following year, in 1924, she was awarded the honor of Wamba's Baby Star. This was given to promising young actresses for stealing the limelight. It was a blessing and a curse. Lucille's talent and good nature would be her downfall. With all eyes on her, she was marched to center stage by her mother. An already extensive schedule became relentless. The endless stamina she was often praised for began to dwindle, yet still she was pushed and prodded by her mother to go on. Now, again, I'm not saying she was intentionally drugged, but cocaine was also in everything back in the
Mm-hmm.
day. Um, it was good for heart attacks and parties. All the way up into the 70s, stores were selling cocaine paraphernalia. But again, there's no evidence or allegations. This is just my own, like, how do you keep a kid going?
Mm-hmm.
Even without the drugs, it was becoming obvious that Lucille needed a break, but Mama Ingeborg wouldn't hear it. She knew the climb to the top was going to be hard work, but she convinced her daughter it was all worth it. This bitch immolated her daughter on the altar of the silver screen for fancy clothes and her name to be in stupid rag mags. Lucille was cast in film after film. Her rap parties were practically the same day as her next audition. 10 movies in 1924 alone. Not even throughout the whole year, just in 7 months of 1924. Can you imagine? Like, I feel like I'm fucking busy now.
Imagine filming 10 movies in 7, or how many months?
7 months.
10 months?
10 movies, 7 months. That's a movie and a half every 6 weeks, or a movie every
Something
six
like
weeks?
that.
Whatever. I don't know. I'm not math, but did she ever get to sleep? Did she ever get to sit down, read a book, or watch the clouds go by? Not only was it filming the movie, she was also having to do press interviews and go to dinner parties and private dates with prospective directors and producers and all of that, and she's barely 13. In her final in her final film, she was reunited with Cindy Chaplin of The Secret Marriage Rumor. They starred in a comedy together that was interrupted when Lucille grew pallid, fainting in the middle of a scene. Her mother, fraught with worry, immediately removed her daughter from prying eyes. Back in their Hollywood apartment, Ingeborg sequestered her daughter in her room. The most important thing for Mama Dearest was to alleviate media concern and deflect speculation. Stoic and strategical, her defense was that Lucille had tuberculosis and needed time to recover. Ingeborg didn't say much more than that, other than to say that Lucille wouldn't be back to work for a few months. On the other hand, the doctor pegged the situation for what it was, stating that Lucille, quote, is a high-strung, enthusiastic girl full of ambition and energy, who crowded too much work into too short a time and overtaxed her capacities. Other youthful stars have done the same thing. The result is that she had a physical and nervous collapse so complete that she has not rallied from it as she should. In short, she was severely burnt out.
Mm-hmm. She worked way too hard.
Way too much. Excuse me. Ingeborg stayed at her daughter's side, not letting anyone near her, save for one visitor, producer Paul Byrne, who brought her flowers and read to her from magazines while holding her hand. While Lucille wasted away on her deathbed, the media was famished for any morsel of information they could find, and of course, her mother suffered as well. Without Lucille's income, it was difficult to keep up their lavish lifestyle. Her son had to quit high school to get a job and support the family, because once again, mom cannot do it herself. She needed to nurse Lucille back to health. She could not leave her side. Which, yes, but also, no.
Right.
Have all that money and nothing set aside.
Doesn't make. Where'd the money go? What did you spend all that money on?
Shoes. In reality, she couldn't let anyone close enough to hear Lucille's cries for help. What if she told the doctor that she didn't want to act anymore? That her mother made her do all of this? Some things just need to be kept in the family, so young Marshall paid the price this time. Meanwhile, media gonna media. There was all kinds of gossip whispered through the grapevine. Some said it wasn't just exhaustion that got the child star, but a botched abortion, or drugs, or anemia, or other illness. Everything was speculated. This wouldn't be the end of their woes, though. One tepid February morning in 1925, Ingeborg woke to Lucille crying out, or so she thought. She rushed from her sofa bed across the room to check her daughter. Her heart racing, her breath panting, she tucked her daughter back into bed. With a sudden pain in her chest and a final gasp, Ingeborg was down for the count. Lucille screamed, bringing her brother into the room. As they rolled Ingeborg onto her back, she whispered to her daughter, "Take care of yourself, dear," before succumbing to her massive heart attack. She was only 44 years old.
Ooh.
Sounds like she also exhausted herself
Yeah.
on these travels, this race to fame. The funeral service was held in a Hollywood chapel. Ingeborg was laid to rest, surrounded by her friends and family. It goes without saying that Lucille was the most affected by her mother's passing. She spent every waking moment next to the woman. The day she said goodbye to her overbearing mother, she sobbed herself into a coma. Paul Burns, what was he, a producer from her final movie, paid for round the clock nursing care. Her bedside was, excuse me, her bedside was constantly attended by actress Lois Wilson, who says Lucille once whispered to her about how exhausted she felt and how she had supported her family since she was 4 years old. And wouldn't you have it, the death of your ex-wife and the pending demise of your only daughter is the best occasion to bring out an estranged father back to their family. Soren, from 6 years ago, who just left them with a fame-chasing fiend to fend for themselves in a wolf's den, but he's back, so he's soothing his daughter's worries. But forget him, he was useless. Big Brother is the angel here. He asked family friends Conrad Nagel and Rupert Hughes for financial help to petition the state to become siblings Lagardian for Lucille. Her health was in rapid decline. She once even allegedly told her nurse that she could feel herself going and going fast, and that somehow she was not afraid to go.
Hmm.
And sadly, on Friday, March 13th, 1925, Ingeborg Myrtle Erickson passed away. She was surrounded by her loved ones, Brother Marshall, Lois Wilson, and Soren Erickson. Her official cause of death is tuberculosis, but suffice it to say that child was pushed to the end to live an entire life before she was even 15. Her mother was greedy, addicted to the fame, living vicariously through her daughter. I mean, come on, she gave the girl her she gave the girl her name. I don't know if that was like a custom
I have no
for
idea. How old was
the
she?
Ingeborg Senior. I don't know how old they were when they had their kids.
No, how old was Lucille when she died?
14.
Oh, I didn't realize she was that young. Okay.
Yeah, just 14. According to the media, she was 16, but she didn't live to see her 15th birthday. Yes, like I said, I don't know if it's a custom to name your daughter after you or not, so correct me if I'm ignorant, but my point still stands. I see Ingeborg coming to America, seeing the silent films of rising stars like Olive Thomas and wanting that for herself. Being the mother of two, missing her chance to be in the limelight herself, she thrust her daughter into it instead, blistering her childhood, burning her candle at both ends, so that she could reap the benefits of stardom. So fuck her.
Yeah, that's
There's nothing wrong with wanting to hone your kids' talent and like push them to succeed, but this was extreme. And for fame, who cares? Let kids be kids. After this, her father was given the $50,000 life insurance policy, which was set up as an estate to fund her brother's education. Hughes and Nagel fought this in court because, like,
he doesn't
where
really
has he been for the last
he
6
shouldn't get
years?
it.
But he won the estate on some bullshit ass grounds that one of them was an atheist or some shit. But they were given guardianship of Marshall. So you can see where their parents, both Ingeborg and Soren, were concerned with money rather than their children.
Yeah.
Okay. All of this is to say, we have been questioning the exploitation of child actors by Hollywood and their parents for over 100 years. How the fuck have we not gotten a clue yet?
Well, I don't know.
It's crazy.
How do you spell her name?
Which one? Ingeborg or Lucille?
Lucille.
Lucille. Did you want to see her?
Yeah.
Yeah. She was a beautiful young girl. I don't know. I will be like, I did look up the photo shooter. It was in the article I was reading or whatnot. Not
Yeah, not
the
the full.
actual nudity. Uh, it wasn't extreme like spread eagle or anything. They were just like, but still, she was a cute girl, exploited by her mother in Hollywood. We'll post pictures on our social media, and I guess we're gonna give it to the outro unless you want to have a discussion. Like,
Hollywood.
right? This is just one of the earlier ones because we're just getting into the silent film era at this point. Like, there was no talkies. She was in silent films.
Right.
And of course we have risque silent films at this point. Olive Thomas was another Hollywood actress that succumbed to the lifestyle,
Right.
tragic death and whatnot. That is not Lucille Ricksen. Yeah, this was from the photo shoot. So she would have been nude and like just posing there at 8.
Did she need to be? This is 8.
Mm-hmm.
She looks 8.
She looks like an 8-year-old with makeup on. But like, not all of these moves. Look. Still going on today. Still do it. Still let it happen.
Crazy.
I know, right?
Right.
Even the hounds are unhappy. All right, take it to the outro.
And that, my pretties, is all we have for you today. If you liked that episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Word of mouth is the best advertising, and we truly appreciate the solid. If you'd like to view our resources or leave us any comments on our research and write-ups, visit don'tyouknowpod.com and visit our socials. From Facebook to Mastodon, everything is at Don't You Know Pod. Links in the show notes. Thanks for joining us, and don't forget to lock your doors.